Welcome to Flamecast. This is Todd Blitz, and over to my left or right, wherever I decide
One
to
of
put
those
you.
shoulders is Wes Swingley.
Yeah,
Nice to see you up there or down there or over
yeah,
there
or over
or
there,
over there.
or it could be over there, or over there.
Diagonal. That's too many directions.
It could be like, Brady Bunch.
Or we could just overlay us on top of each other and have our faces like auto merged into a freaky love child.
I was gonna say that sounded way dirtier than it should have
Yeah.
been. Anyways, so how have you been?
I don't know. Time flies.
I mean, I guess I could say, I mean, since the last time we talked, I should say Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas,
Has it
Happy
been
New
that far?
Year's, Valentine's, and Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah. It's time flies. I feel, less busy than I have been, but also the time still keeps on moving. I thought less busy might mean time will slow down now.
Yeah, the last one I did was with Matt back in October. So
Really?
it's like, and I kept meaning to, do another one, like at 1 month, and then at 2 months, and three, and
There's absolutely no way that we can talk about all of the stuff that has happened in the
no.
5 months, 6 months or so.
Although I do have to tell you, we have a new child.
Oh no. Inanimate or conscious.
My new child.
Oh, you bought the expensive one.
Hey, he was actually on sale at Costco for like, was it $12?
Oh,
I'm like, I can't pass that up.
Yeah. I have a little what are they called? What are those collectible bobbleheads called that I obviously don't collect?
Oh, the Funko.
Funko Pop, yeah. I have a Funko Pop one that I like. It looks pretty good for a Funko Pop, but yeah, that one looks pretty nice. He just needs some fuzzy hair, actually.
It'd be nice if he could make his mouth move and stuff too, but and then he has no legs. It's just
I'm convinced.
beanbag underneath him.
Have we seen his legs on the show? Like they do a really. So. They avoid showing his feet at all times. It's like the most obvious lazy animation. We don't want to deal with his feet. It's like the first time you see Kermit the Frog's legs. It's creepy and weird.
Yeah. That's all right. I don't mind.
Very cool. Yeah, well, and I was thinking one of the obvious things to talk about was in the intervening time, we've both watched every episode of the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, we'll just dive right into this. Because my thoughts on it, when they started dedicating that whole episode to just following the Mandalorian instead, I'm like, okay, maybe the titles of the series are more arbitrary. It's all one big story, and we're just kind of picking and choosing. Okay, we'll call it Boba Fett here, but it's not really totally Boba Fett. Yeah, we'll call it Ahsoka here, but it's not going to be all her and stuff like that. So.
I was happy that they connected, but it was a little odd that they dedicated like an entire episode. I think you didn't see Boba Fett for more than like 1 minute for 2 or 3 episodes.
Right.
And so it's a little weird. I love the Boba Fett actor. And a weird side story, we have a graduate student in my department from South Africa. So not quite the same accent, but enough of a similarity in accent, and physically they look identical. So like the whole time watching that episode, I'm like, it's Gary. I'm watching Gary. But I like the actor, but the character was a little underwhelming for me.
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining about, this isn't the badass Boba Fett that
It's old
I
man
grew up
Boba Fett.
with.
Old man Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It's like watching Logan, right? Old man Logan.
I mean, how many years in a Sarlacc pit will kind of do that? Yeah. Maybe.
Speaking of which, I didn't pay enough attention to see if there was a lot of nerd rage out there for them, formally canonizing that version of the Sarlacc. The chompy mouth Sarlacc, which I've never loved. I don't have a lot of nerd rage for many things, but I never loved the chompy mouth Sarlacc.
Yeah. I don't. I think people were more upset at the way Boba Fett was being portrayed than that was kind of like a side thing. It's like, I didn't care for that, but Boba Fett, bam!
Yeah. I think in both cases, somebody at Disney or Jon Favreau or somebody must really like watching people get beat up, because both Boba Fett and Mando just get the crap beat out of them so many times, especially Mando. It was a running gag when we were watching through Mando, like, who's going to beat up Mando next? A 7-year-old girl? Like, is that who's next?
Well, yeah, in one aspect, it does put a little bit more realism into it. It's like the hero is, unscathed and going through and doing his thing. And this way, it's like, I mean, he goes and takes the Darksaber and accidentally cuts himself, and it's like, that's totally probably what would happen.
So. It does suffer the Iron Man problem, though, that Mando's suit would just be a suit full of jelly after some of those things. Sure, the suit can survive 8,000 foot impact, but the human inside probably not so much.
And then just think of I mean, half the time he's on Tatooine and you got the temperature going, and it's gotta be hotter than heck. And they must have those like well insulated, not just for filming, but I mean for the actual story. They must have like super coolant gel pack in there or something.
Maybe Beskar is good at bleeding off heat.
That could be.
Or Mando just smells really, really bad.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. They thought a Tauntaun smelled bad. Where did you smell him?
The big spoiler, I guess, if anybody is watching this and cares about spoilers for Book of Boba Fett, cover your ears. But I think I saw some criticism of the last episode, but holy crap, did I love seeing a Rancor fight. Watching that Rancor rip the guns off those things was, that's what my childhood needed.
Well, in the episode where they introduced that particular one, when he goes and suggests that he wants to ride it, you knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Like, yep, it's got to happen at some point, and they saved it for the last episode. So.
Yeah, and I saw a little bit of I think an Easter egg, a little bit of a nod to King Kong, with the Rancor hopped up onto the side of the building.
Yep, climbed up on the tallest building, and gosh, what town were they in?
I don't know. They're all the same on Tatooine. Maybe sorry, I'm racist.
Same. Same architecture and all that.
Yep.
But,
the only other thing about it, I was watching the Honest trailer, and the Honest trailer really picked on something that bothered me, but I got over it. The Vespa gang.
Yeah, that's one thing that did bug me. They're multicolored air speeders.
They're Vespas. Let's just call them what they are. They're
just like
they're space Vespas. Yeah,
they were like, what is it, Power Rangers?
I don't know if that was just a way to try to get a younger audience or something with the cool kids, but it seemed a little too like an old person writing the cool kids. this is what the kids are into nowadays, right? Space Vespas and bright colors.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing they may have learned a thing or two from this series, and they will probably correct things for future series or screw something else up. But
I'm just hoping we get more. I was very worried that we were going to lose Timothy Oliphant, so we need the Marshall series or more of the Marshall for sure.
yeah, when he got shot, I'm like, he can't be dead. They can't kill him off.
No.
And to see him at the end, it's like, yes.
Yeah. Well, and actually the thing we didn't talk about too is Cad Bane. I was pleasantly surprised to see Cad Bane come in. I don't know if I loved the makeup. It was a little uncanny, a little weird in some ways. I think like his neck and mouth was a little funny to look at, but it was nice to see Cad Bane finally die, I hope, I presume. But like, how long have people been waiting to see Cad Bane die?
Hey, it's well, I mean, it was Boba Fett's show, but it almost would have been kind of neat to see Mandalorian go up against Cad Bane, just because of who they're modeled after. Because Mandalorian is definitely the man with no name, and Cad Bane is designed after Angel Eyes in Good, Bad, and the Ugly. So having them go up against each other, that would have been kind of something.
Yeah. Or we didn't have that much Ahsoka, but I think Ahsoka would be the one that has the most reason to kill Cad Bane. Most interactions. But yeah, okay. Enough about the book of Boba Fett Mandalorian.
Yeah. I did want to bring up a couple of other things here. Last weekend, actually, I know you were invited, but of course you wouldn't have been able to come. But I did have my 31st annual sci-fi party. Todd annual 31st. Which went actually pretty well. We did the fastest Star Trek game.
Still.
Yeah.
How old is that now? When was that officially made, that fastest Star Trek game?
They originally made it in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And
so it's coming up on 40 years.
I think it was 88 was when they lost their license to do any more stuff. Paramount said, nope, you're too focused on militaristic stuff and things like that, so we're cutting you off.
That's like, crazy that you're playing a game that's coming up on 40 years old now. All right, continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, we did something a little bit different this time with it. One thing I was worried about was that it was designed for many people, and we were having a 1 p.m. start time. I mean, the more people that are involved, the longer the thing's going to take. And
unless you give people shuttlecraft or
yeah, there was no shuttlecraft involved this time. But it was designed after the classic episode, The Doomsday Machine. So we had, I've actually got
which one is that?
Right here. No, I'm not smoking this.
I was going to say that's a very nice, realistic hull that you have on that ship.
But yeah, we had 2 of those, and Corey was one, I was the other. We'd go into the neutral zone, and Federation, Klingon, and Romulan would all be attacking these things. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched the episode.
I don't know if I've seen that one. I told you we were chiseling through the original series, and I think we may be on the last season or near it. So I don't know if that's in the third season.
It's either second season or I was thinking maybe first, but
I can look it up. What was the name again? A Doomsday Machine?
Doomsday Machine. Yeah. So we had these come into this region. Everyone was trying to shoot at them, destroy them, and everything, because of the nature of the Doomsday Machines, it was like no damage whatsoever. What you had to do was fly your ship directly into
The maw.
the mouth of it, and then explode your ship. So that was about the only way to, was the only way to actually destroy it.
It says season 2, episode 6. So we must have watched this, but I just can't remember it for some reason.
Okay. So we did have one person, Chris Marler, who remembered the episode, unfortunately. And when he kind of figured out what was going on, he's like, okay, we're going to take our most badly damaged ship, fly it into the mouth and explode. And you couldn't just fly onto the same hex and do it. You had to enter from the right
the direction.
Shield in order to get into the mouth, which he ended up doing and destroyed Corey. Which he wasn't too happy about.
Oh, come on. He's the bad guy. You got to be okay with being destroyed, right?
Yeah. Before he was destroyed, we did destroy one of the planets on the board, because what we would do then, Corey and myself, would be once a planet is destroyed, it's replaced by, I think it's seven asteroids. The planet remains.
Yeah.
And then we could go in and land on one of the asteroids and use that to replenish our power. And we didn't get that far. But yeah, when we blew up that planet, the Klingons were like right there. So it totally wiped out nice. Jacob, my nephew. And then it was like chain effect. We could have destroyed a bunch of stuff right there, but we badly damaged like 3 other ships. But yeah, then once Chris's team found the way to destroy Corey's, it was only a matter of time before they got to me. I was like, yeah, okay. And then
should have flown with your maws facing each other so nobody could enter your mouth.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can fly over ships into, so I guess, but someone had the idea. Well, if it's just a dead, husk out there right now, can I fly into it and use a tractor beam and use it to
hermit crab, right? That's
use it as my shields basically. And I'm like, that's a really freaking cool idea. I'm like, I really didn't give an answer, but no one decided to do that.
I feel like you'd have to put a lot of power into your tractor beams, so maybe you wouldn't have enough power for anything else to.
That's what I was thinking of. It's like, well, it's got to draw power from something, and we haven't set that up in the scenario, so no. But
you have one phaser beam per round, and all the rest of your power is going into tractoring this hull.
Well, that's kind of like what Corey and I had to do. Was we could shoot, but it was like one shot per turn, and each turn has 3 phases, so there's going to be 2 phases where we can't shoot at all, and then we can shoot, but depending on how much power we're using for movement, it's like, because it took 3 shots for us to destroy the planet, just because we needed power to movement to get there. And then, I mean, ideally, if we're kind of copying what happens in the show, it's like you have to sit still and use the blast at full power, and that would be enough to destroy the planet. But yeah, we didn't get that.
It makes me think of powering up the Death Star, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which could lead into bringing a Death Star into a scenario at some point, I guess. We have this as a model.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I guess I was going to say scale would be a problem, but your planets are not really to scale anyway, so
right.
Wouldn't be too big of a deal. Or you could just have you brought in your gigantic Deep Space Nine? That's what you need to scale on the map.
No, I haven't, but yeah, that is pretty much to scale with all the ships. Although the ships aren't really to scale with each other either.
Yeah.
Since you got a shuttlecraft that's this big, and then the Enterprise is this big.
Yeah. Well, that's where the X-Wing, board game tried to scale things a little bit. They weren't perfectly scaled, but I was never tempted to buy the Star Destroyer, which was, I don't remember how large that thing is. It's like a few feet long. For
the X-Wing game?
That may be for the other one, for the
I think that's Armada. Yeah, for X-Wing, they did like a mini Star Destroyer type thing, which
they did the one with
have on my shelf.
The wings on it. The one with the little side wings. I forget what that thing is called.
Because they needed something comparable to the Blockade Runner.
Yeah, that thing's pretty big too. I have that. I used to have it out, but I've put it away.
Yeah, mine's on the shelves back here. Yeah, little shelves right there.
Right. I have too many other toys. I have Lego and stuff around. I have a really nice, oh God, this is heavy here. So this could lead us into another movie.
Oh,
nice Lego Ecto-1. Although I didn't realize until I built it. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I didn't realize until I watched the movie that this Ecto is actually based off of the new movie, because it's got things on there that you never saw in the original movies. Like it's got a gunner's turret, and it can drop out the little ghost trap on wheels, remote control ghost trap car thing. And those are from the new movie. So did you watch the movie?
I did. I was going to say that must be kind of lightweight. Unless you're like,
it's pretty heavy. I'm just super strong.
I was going to say you built up some muscles or something.
It's like a 5-pound model. It's pretty chunky. Yeah,
I mean, the way you're handling it though is like, wow, you're like.
I handle a lot of Legos. Man. This is more Lego skill than it is. Yeah, I got a couple. I have also another very nice one that I probably can't show you on screen, but this is a really cool set. The top flips out and it's got stuff going on, but I can't do it while I'm holding on to it.
Yeah.
It's a cool little set. Anyway, enough toy show. But Ghostbusters, what did you think of the Ghostbusters movie?
I thought it was pretty decent. I really didn't have anything to complain about with it.
Yeah, I liked it.
How they brought in Egon and stuff. I thought that
I was worrying about that the whole movie. I was thinking, are they ever going to show him? Because obviously they have to, recreate Harold Ramis.
Right.
It was kind of interesting because it wasn't the real Harold Ramis. It was like an aged Egon, because that character didn't look like the real Harold Ramis at that age. Who got pretty heavy. So we didn't see that in the character.
Yep. I was trying to think of what else I've been watching.
We have been watching something. I think you don't have Apple TV, right?
No.
Yeah, we have been watching a new sort of sci-fi show called Severance. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
It's been pretty good. It stars Adam Scott, and it's about a near future where people can have their memory split, particularly in the case of the show, so that when they go to work, they don't remember their home life, and when they go home, they don't remember their work life.
Yeah, I do recall seeing commercials for it.
Yeah, it's got Christopher Walken in it too, and John Turturro. I think those are the only. Oh, and Patricia Arquette, who I have not seen in anything in a long time.
Hmm.
And her acting, I think, is just as bad as it ever was. But it's been a pretty good show. It's worth tracking down if you ever, do a trial run of that. Speaking of, to follow up on that, the thing that I never take the time or effort to put my money into is Paramount or CBS or whatever it's called right now.
Yeah,
I know,
Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I know Picard is going on right now, but I just have to avoid spoilers as much as I can.
I have yet to see the last Picard episode, but otherwise Discovery, I'm caught up.
But you've watched a couple of the Picard episodes then?
Yeah, I think gosh, what?
How many are they in? 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's 3 or 4. I can't recall.
I'll probably wait till they finish the season and then sign up for it for a bit to watch through that, and maybe Discovery, although from everything I hear, it's not really worth going through all the Discovery.
Yeah, Discovery is, it's all right, but it's just not something that I'm really excited about or anything like that.
I heard better things about Below Decks.
Lower Decks.
Or Lower Decks.
Lower Decks, I didn't think I was going to like. And, watching the first couple of episodes, I'm like, okay, this lead character, she's really annoying. I'm really disliking her. But by the end of the first season, it's like, okay, I kind of get where she's coming from now. And then, as they went on, it's like, this is like one of the best Star Trek shows out there right now.
It's good. I'm cautiously optimistic, although maybe I shouldn't say cautiously optimistic. I'm curious about Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
With the way Discovery went, I'm not sure that I should have much hope, although Picard, I did like Picard much better than that. So
yeah,
and that's Picard, June or something.
What was that?
And is that June or something? Strange New Worlds. May or June.
Yeah, I want to say it was June, like first week in June, maybe.
So maybe that's about when I'll try to do the Paramount TV to maybe catch those episodes as they're airing and watch all of Picard. Seems like a plan.
Yeah. Let's see what else of course, I've been catching the stuff on CW, the DC shows. I did end up watching Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I didn't watch the original one because
if you're going to watch one, just skip the original and watch this one instead.
Well, I think we've had this conversation. I hate Zack Snyder movies, so I don't know that it's much of a draw for me to see his cut of the movie.
Well, I think it is better than the original. So, but then if they are making any other movies in this universe, they're ignoring the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know would really be a big deal. But
well, I'm curious how it goes. I'm, not having followed any of the DC like TV shows and stuff and just kind of following what's happening with the movies. So like the Zack Snyder cut is one example of that. But then the Gunn version of of Suicide Squad, like, is that going to be completely disconnected from the previous one? I don't know what's happening.
I think they can still coexist. Because I don't think there's really anything that prevents them from being in
Do you know if it's
the same universe?
It's not obviously a reboot because it's been way too little time, but it's not a sequel either.
Not really. I mean, other than the name, it's and then
weird.
Harley Quinn. Well, you've got Amanda Waller as well, which she only shows up briefly.
It reminds me of when they did the Ang Lee Hulk, and then the Ed Norton Hulk came out not that many years later. I don't remember what that was, 5 or 6 years or something.
Yeah, there was a meme I saw yesterday where it's like little MCU lessons from Moon Knight. And one of them's like, William Hurt's character shows up and what's his name? The guy who plays the Hulk now.
Don't ask me now. I can't remember.
It's too early in the morning to remember names.
I always want to call him by the name of the guy who played Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio. Like, for some reason in my brain, they're in the same exact bin. Whatever.
But the thing is, he goes and tries to hide behind, people so you won't be seen. But he wouldn't be recognized anyways, because the last time he saw him, he was portrayed by Edward Norton. So tune in next time for more little hints from Moon Knight, kind of a deal. It's like, whatever.
Speaking of which, another very, very similar story, another movie that I haven't watched yet because I didn't go to the theater and it's not for rent yet on digital. It's only for buy, is the new Spider-Man movie. And of course, everything has been spoiled for that. Like, God forbid you try to avoid any sort of spoilers when something like that comes out. So now I know that all the Spider-Mans are in that.
Yeah, they tried to keep that a secret, and there was just no way. You knew they were going to show up, but as the movie was going, because I mean, you've seen it, right?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
That's what I was saying. It's like been spoiled a billion times thus far. I don't know exactly how it happens, but it's all been spoiled.
Well, I'll just say it happens unexpectedly.
I would be way more excited if they had made Jake Gyllenhaal one of the Spider-Mans. Do you know he was supposed to play the role when Tobey Maguire hurt himself?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, that was when he came out as why can I not think of his name? I was going to say Mysterio. Mysterio?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When he played Mysterio, that was kind of the joke that, like, he's now finally in a Spider-Man movie. So that would have been cool if he was one of the Spider-Mans in the follow-up Spider-Man movie.
Well, one thing to watch for in that movie, Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, he did such a great job being so evil. He's more evil than he was in the original movie.
Yeah, I mean, he was just kind of creepy and weird in the original. And that could have been. But
now he's creepy, weird, and evil.
Yeah. I think I've told you, I really dislike those early Spider-Man movies. Especially the one that I think everybody thinks is their favorite, the Spider-Man 2. I do not like them at all. The makeup, especially, like Green Goblin, like it's like Power Rangers makeup, and I think that turned me off a lot.
It was more a mask for him, which you'll get some redemption in this movie for Green Goblin and his mask.
Yeah. And I remember at the time, I'm less bothered by really stupid science in movies now, although it still does bother me. But at the time, Doc Ock, trying to make that nuclear, sun, and then their solution for it is to dip it in the water, dip it in the bay, and that puts the thing out, is mind-boggling. Somebody doesn't know how, fission works or fusion.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was just thinking earlier about, for some reason, I thought of it this morning. In Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, it's not worth watching.
That's kind of why I haven't watched it yet.
So they go like underneath the Earth's crust, and there's a whole other world down there. And my first thought when watching this in the theater was, where is the light coming from?
Yeah, that's a good
Everything is lit up here, like there's a sun down there. I'm like, no. I'm like, it'd be dark as hell down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the answer is always lava, right? Or magma.
Yeah, and it didn't even look like that was the case even. They I mean, the shadows of the light flowing onto these things, it's like, no.
It's bioluminescent fungus, just a lot of it. That reminds me of The Core. Did you ever watch The Core?
No,
or whatever that was 10 years ago. It is so bad. It's not bad. It's not so bad it's good, but it is almost worth watching because it's so bad. And just the premise of Journey to the Center of the Earth has always been so stupid. There's not giant caverns hiding under. Well, maybe there are. Who knows?
Have you seen them?
I have not seen them. So as a scientist, I can say probably not, but who knows?
Let's see. Well, you were saying you're kind of going through the original Star Trek series.
It's been.
I can't remember if the last time we talked, I was going through them as well.
I don't think so.
But maybe I've done it since then. But I went through the original series. I continued with the animated series, and then went to Star Trek Continues.
I've heard a lot of people say the animated series is better than the original series in terms of storylines, character development, and stuff like that.
I don't know if I would say that.
The original series
it has its merits, but I don't know if it's really better. But Star Trek Continues, that definitely describes Star Trek Continues. The stories are better. The character development is better. It's really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Talking praise about them for a long time. So.
Did they continue after Grant died?
No, because they ended up making their last episode before he passed away, which their last episode leads right into Star Trek: The Motion Picture, pretty much. So of course I had to continue with the movies too. So I went all the way through Star Trek 6, and then I kind of stopped because I'm like, if I'm going to continue, now I've got to watch Next Generation, and I'll get to that point.
Well, you said you went all the way to 6 before you stopped. When did Next Generation come out? Was that after like 4, between 4 and 5?
Right.
Yeah. I'm curious. Like I said, it's been slow going watching the original series. Part of that is there's not a lot of character development. All the stories are kind of like, single one-off sort of things. Yeah. So it's a little hard for me. So I think in my opinion, I didn't remember it until like maybe Wrath of Khan was when you started to see the characters change more.
Yeah, that's one thing with Star Trek Continues is they take some of the plot points from the actual earlier episodes and kind of expand upon them. in a lot of their shows. There's maybe a couple here or there that they kind of do something totally original, but there's a lot of callback to some of the previous stuff that's canon out there.
I need to get through those, and I actually can't remember if I can get through them now. I was watching them on Netflix, and I think maybe they went away.
They're all on Paramount Plus now.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing it was maybe in December or something that it said they were going to go away, and Mariah and I were like, oh, we need to plow through them, and we didn't do it. So, oh well.
Well, if we ever see each other in person in the near future, I have them all on DVDs.
Yeah,
that's how I went through them.
I will. Even though
I could have gone through Paramount Plus.
I'll be up there in mid-April for my grandfather's 90th birthday.
Oh.
But not sure how much time I'll have. It may just be a quick weekend trip because it's still in the middle of the school year. Yeah. Near the end of the school year for me. But I'll try to let you know when I head up that way. Yeah. Catch a meal or something.
There was a movie I watched just yesterday or the day before, which is actually recommended by Kevin Smith. It's on Hulu, actually. It's called Fresh.
Okay.
Because I guess someone had mentioned it to Kevin on Twitter or something like that, where they said it reminds me of Tusk. So he had to check it out, and he's like, "Oh, it's really good. It's got what's his name? Who played the Winter Soldier?"
Yeah, I don't know his name, but
I can't think of it now. But it's got him in like one of the lead roles, and yeah, it's kind of like a horror story.
What is his name? I want to say his name is like Toby or something, isn't it?
Oh no, I can't think of it.
That actually Sebastian Stan.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and that reminds me, actually, when you mentioned the Winter Soldier, we did watch another Marvel's movie that I'm curious on your take. That has a character that looks exactly like the Winter Soldier in it. It's not the same actor, but bizarrely close. Eternals, yeah.
Yeah, and when I caught some of the little preview commercials for it, and they showed him, it's like, is that him? No, it can't be. And then,
well, it took me a minute to realize that movie is basically like the sequel to Game of Thrones, because that's Robb Stark. And the guy, I didn't realize that Robb Stark looked a lot like Sebastian Stan. And then, of course, it has Jon Snow. And the female lead in that movie is named Cersei.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
So I'm curious, what did you think of the Eternals?
I thought it was all right. It seemed a little, just because you've got so many new characters. Yeah. There wasn't really time for development on all of them. So it's kind of like throwing all this stuff at you, and some of it's kind of sticking, some of it's not. But in the end, it was all right.
So you used almost the same words. I think I would describe that movie as it ended up being okay, because the beginning of the movie, we almost stopped watching it. Like, it was so hard with just so many characters, and they're all wearing the same stupid suits. They're stupid, shiny suits. It's like, how am I supposed to tell these idiots apart? And it was just, there was so much exposition, so much like, here's the story thus far. It was bad, genuinely bad. And everything was that shiny, like what was it? Egypt, Gods and Kings or something, those terrible movies like the Prince of Persia movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, that like everything is shiny and bright garbage. So early on, I was like, almost going to quit the movie. I think it ended up being a pretty decent movie once it got past all of that. But that was hard to get through.
One thing that's kind of interesting is the Celestial at the end, who's kind of frozen there and stuck in the earth pretty much. If I recall, I think the Avengers end up using his head as a base, like later on.
Well, that's funny because, in Guardians of the Galaxy, Nowhere is a head, right?
Oh,
Nowhere.
yeah.
Is it Nowhere? Yeah.
I think it's Nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a head. So it may be a celestial head as well. I'm not sure, but it would stand to reason that it might be.
Maybe.
The sort of thing I realized late in the Eternals was that I was thinking, wait a minute, isn't this pretty much the plot to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Planet Earth was set up as a machine to do something. Yeah, pretty much the same. And I will say it was almost impossible to watch swole Kumail Nanjiani. That was hard to deal with in that movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I was okay with it, but
I was, like I said,
I don't think there will be a sequel.
No. Well, and the other thing that came out in the meantime too was why am I forgetting the name of it?
Yeah, Shang-Chi, but that might have been a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but that still is, we haven't talked about that yet. And I would say the same thing about that. That also ended up being better than I thought it was going to be at the beginning. At the beginning, it was really rough, but then settled in better.
Yeah, that one I liked better than Eternals.
Yeah, I think so. I think just generally better characters and character development.
Oh, your picture froze there for a second.
Yeah, you froze for a second. It's the nature of our modern world.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else you got on the list?
Yeah, I quick wrote up a list. 15 minutes before connecting, I'm like, I gotta write something down.
Yeah, you haven't had one of these in months, and so you had no time to prepare.
Well, we had bowling last night, so as I thought about doing it, I'm like, because that was late afternoon or something like that.
Something like that.
And yeah, by the time we got done with bowling and back home, it was 10:30. I'm like, I'll try to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow morning.
So if you're at bowling and thinking about talking about sci-fi, then the only thing to talk about is Mystery Men, right?
Mystery Men.
Do you remember Mystery Men?
Ben
Stiller superhero movie with Hank Azaria and William H. Macy. Have you not seen this movie?
I have not seen this.
Todd.
Is it something I should write on my list?
100%. 100%. So I don't know that you're going to like it. This is one of those movies that I see every 5 years. This movie comes up and people say oh, it has aged badly, or oh, it still stands up, blah, blah, blah. It is such a unique, weird movie that you need to track it down. I think it's based on a comic, but I don't know the comic. But it's got such a cast. Ben Stiller is the main character, and his super ability is that he has, excessive rage. And I forget his superhero name. William H. Macy is the shoveler. He fights people with a shovel. It's got Pee Wee Herman. Oh
my gosh, Paul Rubens. Yeah.
Paul Rubens in it, and he has really bad flatulence.
Oh my gosh, how did I miss this?
And Hank Azaria is called the Blue Raja, and he wears this faux British Raj outfit and throws forks and spoons at people, but not knives. But then the reason I bring it up is Janine Garofalo is in it, and she has a bowling ball that has her father's skull in it. So it's like a mystical bowling ball.
Okay, that one is down on the list.
It's
I'll
so
see
good.
that one's available somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if it's available anywhere. I have it on DVD again. Like I could lend you that, but you should surely be able to find it somewhere.
Oh, something I did get through. The last season of the new Lost in Space on Netflix.
I stalled. I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in, 4 episodes in maybe, and I stalled. Does it get better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was okay with the series. It was pretty good.
I
Definitely
think
better than the original Lost in Space season 3.
I like the first season or the second. What season is this? The third or the second?
Third? Think it was third.
Yeah. I liked the second season a lot. And then this one, they started on that planet and it's just not been very good. It's been too much about the kids and too much about like, I don't know. It feels like the story has been spinning its wheels a little bit. And so maybe I need to continue and get the plot
I think
moving.
I would continue. And then one movie I did see, not in this theater, I was going to rent it at some point, and then I found out, oh, it's going to be on Disney Plus and this date. So I'm like, well, I'll just wait and not rent it then. Free Guy.
Yeah. I did the opposite. I think I didn't hear about that, and we rented it on Amazon Prime like 2 days before it came out on Disney Plus.
Oh.
Oh well.
Oh well.
It's like $3. Who cares? Yeah, surprisingly good, but again, he just plays himself in everything.
It's kind of like shoot, I gotta look at names. Hold on here.
Speaking of which, did you watch The Adam Project?
I haven't yet. That is on my list of things to do.
That's better, and he, in that at least, is kind of making fun of himself a little more directly.
I was gonna say Ryan Reynolds in movies is kind of like Martin Freeman in movies. He plays the same character every single time. It doesn't matter if he's in
Martin Freeman,
Guide
really?
to the Galaxy, The Hobbit, Sherlock. He is the same character.
I mean, he always plays the nerdy thing. Did you watch The British Office?
I haven't watched that, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably his first breakout role. And he's different, but he is still that sort of like nerdy, quiet guy. But not as much as like, it seems like what you're saying is he's playing that sort of bumbling bureaucrat sort of character. That's an interesting take. I don't think of him automatically when I think of people who play the same character and everything. Ryan Reynolds, 1000% though. Did you watch the other Netflix movie, the Red? What is that called? It's got The Rock and Ryan Reynolds in it.
Oh no!
Don't watch it. Red Notice. It is intolerably bad. So bad. Okay. And it's got The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, like, and Gal Gadot. Like,
oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's terrible. But
I think I had considered watching it, and I'm like, I think I'll just pass.
Yeah, you made the right move. You chose wisely. Did you like Free Guy? You said.
Yes, I enjoyed that immensely. Enough where I'm like, if I see this like on Blu-ray somewhere on sale, I am going to pick it up.
Yeah,
because I would definitely do repeat viewings on it.
Interesting. I felt like maybe that's not the type of movie I could watch over again because there's a lot of development. You know, for me, the repeat movies are the ones that maybe have a bit more of a linear or a static storyline. what else was I going to say? There's another movie in that same bin of things that just came out on streaming. Now I can't. Oh, we tried to watch the Chris Pratt Amazon movie.
No.
It's a I don't even want to look it up because we stopped watching after like 15 minutes.
Ew.
That doesn't happen to me a lot. There are very few movies that I stop watching, but this movie was that bad. And part of the problem was he's supposed to be a biology teacher, which Chris Pratt's a moron. Like, he's very transparently a moron, and that's fine. If that's going to be your character, that's going to be your character. That's great. But the Tomorrow War. But he's supposed to be a high school teacher, and they actually show a scene where he's teaching biology, and it's just wrong, just 100% wrong. And that was the nope, done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Move on. But it's got really bad special effects, and it's got this really hokey like theme that in the future there's some war, and they invent time travel, and the people from the future come back in time to recruit now time people to fight in the future war. And maybe at some point later in the movie they address the fact that they're killing a bunch of people that are their ancestors, but they don't. In the amount that we saw, they didn't think like, hey, if we kill millions of people in 2020 or 22, whatever it is, that might be a problem in 2050.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, depending on how the war goes, wouldn't you want to go to the future? But
Exactly.
But if the people are wiped out by then yeah, I can kind of see. Okay, maybe you got to go in the past.
I don't know. It's a terrible concept. And the Adam Project is also a time travel movie, and I think does a good job of addressing time travel-y things. So I recommend that one. Don't watch Red Notice. Don't watch Tomorrow War, but watch the Adam Project.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, there's been a lot that's come out.
Yeah, the next thing I'm going to be watching will be Morbius, which is next weekend, actually.
This weekend is a movie I really want to see, but I don't know if it's enough to get me out to a movie theater yet. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. You don't know about this? There's one reason and one reason alone that you should watch this movie. And I'm going to tell you why, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but you will. You will when you look it up. Ke Huy Quan. That is the reason why you need to watch this movie. Do you know who Ke Huy Quan is?
It doesn't ring a bell.
He is Short Round. And
yeah.
What is his name in Goonies? I'm forgetting.
Data.
Oh, Data. And he hasn't been in anything in like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And he's in this movie. And I was so excited when I watched the trailer. I'm like, oh my God.
Nice.
It's by the same people that made a movie that I absolutely hate, but this movie looks good. The Swiss Army Man. Have you seen or heard of Swiss Army Man?
No.
It stars Daniel Radcliffe and this other guy who's been in more things lately, but I can't remember his name. And it's about a guy who is stuck on a deserted island, and a corpse washes up on the beach, and the corpse is Daniel Radcliffe. And then the corpse is animated in weird ways, where he moves on his own, and later on starts to talk. And the guy uses this corpse as a tool for things, and it's really messed up. It's really, really weird. I give it to the directors for making something unique, but I hated it. This movie looks equally as unique and crazy. It's like a multiverse movie. It's got Michelle Yeoh in it, who is actually the #1 reason you should watch it, because she's awesome. But it's about something about her using all of her multiple instances of herself in all of the multiverses and using the skills and stuff that they have for her current problem. It looks awesome.
Yeah, speaking of Radcliffe, I think the thing I'm most intrigued to see would be him playing Weird Al.
Yeah, I heard about that
movie coming up. Yeah.
And actually when they made that announcement, I was thinking there was somebody else that was perfect to play Weird Al, and now I can't remember who that was. I had like somebody immediately in mind for Weird Al, and now it's gone. Oh well.
I just couldn't imagine Radcliffe though.
Yeah. He's a bit of an odd choice. If I remember it, I'll text you later.
Yeah.
I think on the spot here, trying to think of it, I can't think of who it would be, but
oh yeah, there's been a couple of things I've been working on beside watching stuff. One of them being this right here.
I see
which
it.
I tried to gain some interest in, but total we got 3 of these. But Living Death Productions.
Do you have a number? Do you have a number on the back, or? Oh, there you go. 37.
37? Of course, I have a friend. 37.
I have a friend who, like, I never remember that that's the number, and I had a friend that just every time that number came up would mention that, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" It didn't stick in my brain.
Oh my gosh! When we do, because we've got our group that we do gaming with every month, and most of the time we do Gloomhaven, and Chris Marler, his current character, I can't remember what his character is right now, but I think he's got 2 cards that are 37. So every time we go through and it's like, okay, what's your number? 37. And both him and I are like, 37.
So I'm curious about that. How far along are you on Gloomhaven? Have you retired characters?
Oh yeah. I'm on, let's see, I did Scoundrel twice, just because the first time around it was like getting more acquainted with the characters and what they could do, and then when I opened up the next character, it's like I don't know if that's the way I want to go. And then he's like, well, you can use the same character again. I'm like, put me there, because now I understand the character more.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I retired that one. So I think I'm on the 3rd, and I'm the what do they call it? The sun person.
I don't remember the names. They're all very unique names.
I can't think of it, but yeah.
I started when I started playing it, I was playing was she a plant? The sorceress.
Oh yeah.
Character.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But our group just never got that far into it. I'm curious how many missions you're in, roughly. Do you know?
Yeah, quite a few.
It must be.
I know Chris does have have they shipped it out yet? Frosthaven?
Not yet. It's not shipped out yet, as far as I know.
I know it's on the way.
Yeah,
if he doesn't have it already, but if they haven't shipped it out yet, it's on the way.
Yeah, I'm curious actually. Let's see. Production news as of February 25th. Yeah, it's still in production. 3 weeks from now, hitting actual production. That was February 25th. So it's maybe in factories printing right now. Well, so that means probably middle of the year or September, October.
We still have a ways to go to really finish up stuff in Gloomhaven. So That's all right.
That's my only complaint with Gloomhaven is it's one of those games that demands it to be a lifestyle game. Like you have to focus only on that to play it. And that's tends to not be how I play games. I have some games that have a campaign that is like the Pandemic Legacy, 12 to 15 games like that I can do. I think that's a good number to exhaust the game and enjoy the story. But like Gloomhaven, I think the box came with 97 missions or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just not something that I could do. I think if I were a teenager and had my friends around that I could play with a couple times a week, perfect.
Well, it's kind of like the Star Wars Imperial Assault game. You can only get through so many missions and then it's done. Yep. It's over. But I do have some of the expansions for that too. I think I'm only missing one expansion, which we haven't really done any of the expansion stuff yet. So at some point, because I got a different group going with that than I do with Chris's Gloomhaven. So trying to alternate between the two, it's kind of rough. Yeah. But
there's a few games out there that I think are a good amount of like size to gameplay. There's a series I actually have. Go off camera a second here. One of these games that I think has been a really fun game and a very unique game. Which one is the right one? Sorry. Bumble around making noise off camera. That's great. Is Destinies. So this game is sort of a much smaller, like individual storyline, little mini RPG, and you lay the map out and you can go to spots and interact with characters, maybe do combat, maybe buy stuff and things like that. But it's got a really cool system, really cool app-based system. And it's one of those things where you could actually play through the story, finish your game, and then sit down and play again with different characters or do different things and get almost a completely different story. So it's only got, I think, 4 or 5 missions in the box, but you could play them in very different ways. And you have different end goals for your missions, so that if you try for one, you're going to get a very different story than the other. And yeah, it's a relatively, quick and easy experience, but I think it was really well done. And the stories are really good too. So part of my other complaint with Gloomhaven when I started, and I'm not sure if it got better later on, is the stories were a bit one-dimensional, like dungeon crawler, like go kill the things, come back, that's it.
Yeah, there's some of those in Gloomhaven, but there's ones that are a little more involved, I should say. Where it's like it's not quite just go in and kill everything. There's a point to it, or there's escort missions and stuff like that. And
everybody's favorite missions. Missions.
Yeah, the last escort one that we did, it ended horribly, and we had to redo it, and we got through it the second time, but it was like, oh, this NPC is just go, go, go. And it's like, no, don't run in there.
That's where you try to put things in your NPC's way to make them stop, or barriers to slow them down. Yeah, this one had like the story, the one that we played has like a big twist at the end where you found out that like my character that I chose at the beginning and the one that Mariah chose at the beginning were like totally at odds, even though the whole game they seemed very independent. And then you get through the final mission and you're like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. So it was a good story. But yeah, that's my sort of level. Like a game that I can play 6 to 12 times, I think for me is perfect amount of story progression. Anything more than that just bogs down.
Speaking of games, you might have seen my post on Facebook about this, but
I'm never on Facebook.
Okay. Well, this is about 2 months ago. And because I have the Star Wars arcade game from Arcade 1-Up.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this ad on Facebook from Arcade 1-Up, and they're like, New Year's sale, and it's going to end soon. And they had the Tron arcade game, which I know is out there. But because, when I looked at the price of the game on their website, they want like $600.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't do that. So there's a sale going on, and it's like, okay, I can get it for like really cheap with a sale. And it was too good to be true. Because you go through the ad and you go to a site which is arcade1up-us.com.
Mm-hmm.
And total scam site. They took everything from the original site and copied everything over to this other URL.
This is why you don't trust Facebook.
Oh my God.
That sucks.
Yeah, and then because I had gone and actually ordered it. And then my older brother, he's like really into that Tron game as well. So he's looking at it and he's like, I'm about to do this myself, but are you sure this is legit? I'm like, well, I think so. And so I'm looking at it more and I'm like, okay, now you got me worried. And then as I'm looking through it, it's, I'm checking other people's like reactions to it online.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all saying, oh, it's another scam out there. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So then I'm going through, trying to write to them,
block your credit card,
email them and stuff. And the emails are bouncing back, and their customer service link goes back to the homepage again. And I'm like, okay, red flags all over the place. So, I'm calling the credit card company right away. I'm like, okay, please try to cancel this. And they're like, oh, we can't cancel it until it actually goes through. I'm like, wow.
It seems like it's easier to cancel if it hasn't gone.
Yeah. They're like, the only way we can stop it right now is for the receiving end to cancel the transaction. I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So they're like, okay, once it goes through, then contact us and then we'll work on this. And I eventually did get my money back. Of course, there's no machine sitting over here.
Yeah.
It's just a total mess.
Yeah, my recommendation is a site that I go to far too often, which is Slick Deals. Slick Deals, sometimes I have things like that come up where there's a sale that looks really good. And if I go on Slick Deals and search for it and I don't see it, then I don't buy from that place. Or sometimes you'll see it and then it has a nice discussion thread on it. So people will say, there's a site that I have bought a couple things from, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but they often have Lego sets on like pretty deep sales, and Lego they rarely go on sale. And so if there's a set that's normally $300, it'll be like $200. And if you go into the thread, always people are saying, this company sucks, their customer service sucks, you don't get your product. I've ordered things and gotten them, and other people have ordered them and got them. So there are some of these where it's just like a company that doesn't have the best customer service, but it's still a legit company. They just kind of suck. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it'll be like, this is an outright scam, avoid. But I've luckily never run into any of those.
Yeah. It was early in the morning. I really should have looked into it more, but I'm just like, I need to do this.
Yeah, get it before it goes away. Yeah, I've never bought. I've been so tempted many times by the Arcade 1-Up cabinets. I just recently saw one that the X-Men game was on sale. I played a lot of that when I was growing up. The X-Men, the Simpsons game, and the Ninja Turtles ones. Those are probably the ones that draw me the most, just because I liked that style. I don't know if I would like that now. It's been too many years, but like in the late 80s or early 90s when those came out, that was a fun type of game, that beat 'em up with friends sort of game.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some ones that I'd really enjoy having, but some of those are like multiplayer that, like Gauntlet. They do have Gauntlet, but you're really like 4 people or at least 3.
It's such an investment too, that the ones that I tend to eyeball are the ones that have multiple games on them. Because like the ones that are just one game, it's hard to justify paying $250 or $300, even on sale, like getting them that cheap for just one game.
Yeah.
Like I could just get an emulator going.
Most of the arcade one-ups have more than one game on them.
Yeah.
Like at least 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't remember what the Star Wars one has on there, because I remember
the Star Wars one has, the original, and then it's got Empire Strikes Back, and it does have Return of the Jedi. So
yeah, there was one that was the original Trench Run that was just like vector graphics, right?
Yep.
Is that the one it has?
Yep. And the Empire Strikes Back is the vector graphics as well.
And that's the one just going like first person going at the walkers.
Yeah, you go at walkers, you go for Imperial probe droids, and you got to navigate through the asteroid field. You do get some TIE fighter action being in the Millennium Falcon, but yeah.
I played the crap out of the Trench Run one, and I think I did actually win that at one point in time, putting enough quarters into it.
Oh.
The original Trench Run. And then there was a newer one that came out that had like proper actual graphics.
Yeah, the Return of the Jedi one has actual graphics.
Oh, that's the one with the bloody the speeder bike chase. Oh my god. Yes. I have nightmares.
Yep. There was it was like mid 80s, and we were staying at I want to say it was like a Holiday Inn in Alexandria, Minnesota or something like that. And in their pool area, they had Return of the Jedi. And I probably put in like $2 worth of quarters into that thing. And now playing it now, I probably haven't played it enough now. But back then I could get through levels. Now I can't get through.
Yeah, that's my fear. That's my fear. When I was a kid, I had faster reflexes, and I could memorize things. When you're a kid, you could memorize, like, you probably knew every tree in that forest. As an adult, you're like, I think I've died on that tree 7 times.
Yeah, it's a little rough. I know Sean and my nephews, they've played that thing, and they've gotten their names on the board and stuff, but you get to the original Star Wars game on this thing, and I think it's all me, like 1 through 10.
Yeah.
Because my thing was, I'm going to start on, the hard levels. And so you get that bonus of like 800,000 points, and it sticks you into that top 10 like right away.
Interesting.
So.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Another thing I was working on, which I haven't gotten too many bites on it yet, but for Flaming Death, we do have a Patreon going now. So
interesting.
For as little as $2 a month, you can contribute, and there are 3 levels where you get different stuff for membership. So depending on what kind of happens in the next couple of months, either I'll continue this or I'm just going to drop it. Because I'm not excuse me, I'm not getting the level of participation I'd hoped. So
Yeah, I don't know what you need to get to make those things worthwhile. Probably at least a few hundred people to get
well,
some fat
even
rolling.
a handful of people would kind of be nice.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do have expenses that go with doing what I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah,
there's the
hosting.
website, which hosting is free, but the domain name costs something. And then as far as figures in action go, I'm trying to be current with some of the stuff that's out there, so it requires buying more figures. And
Oh, you have to buy figures. That's so sad. I was gonna
I know,
say,
but in the meantime, I'm trying to, which kind of leads into another thing. I'm trying to sell some of my older stuff, which doesn't include figures, but it does include things like all of my Playmates toys, Star Trek ships, my old Kenner Hasbro lightsabers,
interesting.
some of those ships for the figures, which I mean, like a B-wing. I've got a B-wing that's still in the box and all that, where it's like, yes, I could take it out and use it as part of figures in action, but it's so big, and really, do I need it?
Yeah.
Like, no, not really. So actually next weekend there will be a toy and collectible sale at the Nerd and Out store in Inver Grove Heights, where I'm going to be selling stuff again. I did one of these a couple months ago, and I think I probably sold enough to cover what I bought that day.
That's a whole different problem.
But
you just changed. You should have just bartered. You probably bought things from the people that bought your things, right?
no, actually, no.
Okay.
But I had lots of people looking at certain things, and it's like, at first I was thinking, okay, for the next time, I'll reprice everything and lower my prices. Because, I mean, my prices are comparable to what you can get the stuff on eBay for. And
I think to some extent you gotta
yeah.
accept that you're gonna give it to somebody who's gonna love it and charge less. Like I do something like that for my board games when I'm trying to get rid of stuff that I sell them for way cheaper. Not necessarily to undercut somebody else, but to get rid of them for one. And if I sell something for cheaper, sometimes I sell things for low enough that with the cost of shipping, it's almost like I'm not making any money, but I hope that person enjoys it and I have more space.
Yeah. So yeah, I have thought about going and repricing everything, but as I was starting to do that, I'm like, if I go any lower on some of these things, I mean, I paid this much for it initially, and considering inflation and stuff, I want to at least break even. Come on.
You can't think that way.
Well, yeah, I think I only repriced a couple of things, and I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna put out some signs and say, make an offer, and they can work me down from there. But to take the time to reprice all this stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
Maybe next time if I don't do well this time, but come on, people.
I think for me, a lot of it,
everyone's got to make a living. Come on.
Yeah. For me, for the board games, a lot of it comes down to I care way more about the space than I do about the money. And So I'd
See,
rather get rid
I
of the
kind of
thing.
have the space yet, so
I have the space. That doesn't mean I want it taken up with board games.
I mean, you've got a crap load of games, so
Yeah. I'm sure you have a crap load of toys, so same argument.
yeah. But
Anyway.
yeah, people out there, if you can help me out on Patreon, that'd be cool. Otherwise, talking about toys, we should probably do a Star Wars Kenner commercial, which let me see if I can go and do this.
You can try to do it live in
I am going
stream.
to.
It's going to be a disaster.
No. There, you should be able to see stuff.
As long as the audio works.
Your step must be quick. Your action, sure.
Yoda Puppet and the Force lightsaber, each sold separately.
Can you hear that terrible voice?
It's the worst Yoda ever.
A powerful friend. That is your first lesson. Learn it well. The Force is my lightsaber. The Force is in all things. Even you, my young Jedi.
The Force lightsaber and new Yoda Puppet, each sold separately.
Has that kid seen Empire Strikes Back? Wasn't even talking in the right grammar.
Oh shoot.
Aww.
Where do I go to unshare?
Top of the screen.
Oh, yeah, stop share.
There you go. Oh man, sometimes I wonder how much money they put into these commercials. That was like a $5 commercial.
That I remember seeing both of those in our local toy store back in the day. The Yoda puppet I had no interest in.
That's really
because
terrible.
you couldn't make the mouth move.
Yeah.
I'm like,
not
if
even
you
a
made
puppet.
the mouth
It's
move,
just
it'd be worth it. But
it's not a puppet. It's a statue on the end of a sock.
yeah, pretty much. Kind of like this guy here.
Yeah.
Although
But at least
he's
that
much
doesn't
cooler.
pretend to be a puppet.
But the lightsaber, I totally wanted one of those lightsabers, which I never ended up getting. But
yeah, speaking of which, I didn't buy the Lego AT-AT, which I'm happy that I resisted because I don't know, I love the AT-AT, but it's kind of a boring Lego set. Kind of like the Lego Star Destroyer, the Ultimate Collector Series Star Destroyer. It's a boring Lego set, it's just a bunch of flat panels. So I didn't buy it, but one of the things that came with it was a promo little lightsaber. Similarly, I think the new Millennium Falcon, when it came out, came with a little Yoda's lightsaber. It's a really cool set, actually. I don't know if you've seen this little guy.
Oh, no, I haven't.
I think it's a nice little set. It comes with a little stand that I can't take it out of. But yeah, I think the AT-AT came with a lightsaber. I can't remember which one. And that's the only way to get it. So I was sad about that. But the AT-AT was $800 and just not that interesting. So instead, I bought a table saw. That's been much more fun.
Chris Marler bought the Millennium Falcon set.
I have that one. And
he's still in the process of putting it together yet, but yeah.
I'm in the process of putting it back together. I had put it together. I had it on my shelf where it took up way too much space, so I disassembled it. And now I'm putting it back together, but it's so much harder to do it the second time because they're not in the individual bags. And I had sorted it when I disassembled it. So I had taken way too much time sorting it. So now I do have my bags sorted, but it's still like some of the bags for like the little 1x1 pieces. I have a bag this big that's just full of like 1,000 of them. So if I have to find one specific thing, it is not easy.
Yeah,
so
I never thought of that.
It takes forever. So I'm having fun doing it very, very, very slowly.
I have been thinking about taking out our Legos and rebuilding all the sets I had as a kid. And
you have the ones from when you were a kid?
Yeah. I don't have.
Complete?
I wish I would have kept like boxes But I do have all the instructions for all those.
I sold a bunch of mine when I was in college, when I was a poor college student, and I still regret it, but oh well. But I had a lot of the original castle sets and pirate ship sets and things like that. Some of those are worth a lot of money.
Of course, mine were all the space Lego sets.
Yeah, I had a couple of those, including I bought it secondhand, so I don't know that I had it complete, but I had the one big spaceship. It's like that big, the one that I think it disconnected into smaller parts.
Yeah, I I remember wanting that, but that was kind of like beyond reach at that point.
Yeah, I bought it from a friend of my cousin's. Like, it wasn't even somebody I knew, but one of my cousin's friends had it and was getting rid of it. You should definitely do that. You should put those together. I'm curious to know what sets you have and how complete they are.
Yeah, I know some of the clear pieces, that are just one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those, just because of the nature of those plastic pieces, had cracked. Mm-hmm. So I do need to replace those at some point. I just need to figure out which ones that they are. So, because I think you can go and buy those.
Yeah. So I had bought, I don't know if I told you this, years ago, I bought piece by piece, literally piece by piece, the Ultimate Collector Series Y-Wing. I bought all the pieces individually, and there were a couple that are really hard to get and really expensive, because Lego does this, I think intentionally, but there's always, in one set, there's one piece that is a one-off, it's only in that set. So you can't, it's really hard to get replacement. So I thought about buying the old Lego Millennium Falcon collector's set, but the thing that goes on the back of it, where the engines are, is the same piece as the ladder to the rigging for the pirate ships. And so it's just like a rope rigging looking thing. And for the pirate ships, it's all brown because it's rope. But for this Millennium Falcon set, it was gray, I think. And there were a couple of those, but every other one out there in the world is brown. And so if you want to buy the gray one, they were I don't remember. It was $100 for the one individual piece, whereas the brown ones were dirt cheap. So on my Y-Wing, there are a couple things like that. There are some, I think the I don't know the word for it, but the piping that runs back on the nacelles.
Yep.
The ones I have are a different color, because the ones that were the right color are just impossible to get. But there are good websites out there where you can pick the pieces that you want, and it'll show you all the people selling them in the US and Europe and stuff like that. It is relatively easy for a small number of pieces. It'd be pretty easy.
Well, I think the only pieces I really need are those one dot clear pieces, which some of those I might be able to buy. I know at Nerding Out, they have one table that's just filled with various Lego pieces. I might be able to find some of them there, which is dirt cheap.
Yeah, it can be hard to find them. The ones online are dirt cheap as well. It's just a matter of finding them. And most of those websites, you can go onto the website and put in the set. So you can find whatever space set you have, put in the set, and it'll show you the whole piece list. So you don't even have to find a piece. You can go into that piece list and say, here's the one I want. I
know they do have some, a limited amount of pieces at the Lego store at the Mall of America as well.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't remember. I don't think they did this in sets until the 90s probably, but in the newer Lego sets, it shows the actual piece product code in the instruction manual. But I think the 80s ones didn't do that.
No, not that I recall. No. And maybe although I don't really, I want to say I'm reversing what I was going to say. Not that you know what I was going to say anyways, but most of the time at some of these conventions, if you see any Legos, they're going to be, Star Wars sets or something like that. But the last Nerding Out Con that was here in Rochester, there was one person out on the dealer floor that had older Lego sets, sold individual figures as well.
Yeah.
And you see that more often than not, where they might have a whole bunch of the figures, but as far as anything else, they don't have it.
There are people that buy sets just because of the minifigs they have.
Yeah. Because that's what kind of got me thinking about this again. It's like, oh, they're selling some of these older space sets, and I've got two of the plates with the moon craters on, and then I've got one like landing plate as well. And I haven't looked them up recently, but I'm pretty sure those go for a good chunk of change.
Some of them might. I know the castle sets are the biggest money sets. The space sets don't sell for as much. And I know the Lego movie made fun of it, that the overwhelming majority of the spacemen figures, the helmet is cracked.
Yes.
Because that was a thin piece. And Lego totally acknowledged that in the movie. But I remember having some that were cracked as well.
But speaking
a lot of my old figures had like teeth marks on them.
Oh, geez.
From disassembling them,
Yeah, there's that. Which I ended up getting a Lego set for Christmas, actually. Rachel just out of the blue bought me a Lego set, which was the Tony Stark like workshop with all the Iron Men in there.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, they give you this Lego tool for trying to disassemble stuff.
It's magic. It's insane how well it works. For the classic of like two flat 2x2s together, just being impossible to separate, you can put them on there and pop right apart. It's unbelievable.
I suppose it's safer than using a pocket knife like I had done in the past.
I think I had a teeny tiny little pocket knife that I would use, but I hated damaging my pieces. So I usually would find a way around it. Anyway.
But speaking of conventions, there's actually a convention next weekend, which I had originally planned on going to and actually asking you to stay at your place. They do have the Star Trek Missions convention next weekend. I think it's next weekend. Because it was, as it turns out, it was the same weekend as a concert that I was going to up in St. Paul, which was They Might Be Giants. Oh, come on.
Mariah loves them. I've never liked them.
But then the concert got postponed. So now it's like, now there's nothing happening that weekend. Well, in the meantime, now I've got the toy and collectible sale that's happening that weekend instead. But there's still actually tickets available for that. So I was tempted for a while, but then it's like, they still have the mask policy in place and stuff like that, and I'm like, do I want to deal with that?
For a con, I mean, it's so I'd have a really hard time going to a con right now just because of the number of random people.
Yeah, I mean the Nerdin' Out one that was in Rochester last fall, there weren't like a overwhelming amount of people there, so we totally felt comfortable there. I mean, it was still, you had to have a mask, but it wasn't that bad. But they re-released tickets for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and
I'm guessing
they're still under the mask policy, so it's like, and plus I don't want to go to Anaheim. If it was Orlando, I might consider it, but no.
Yeah, and I'm just finally getting back into the in May, I'll probably be going to my first scientific conference in person since,
Okay.
2 years ago. So even that, where I'm going to go to something with a bunch of academics who are probably like incredibly careful about COVID, or relatively careful compared to the general populace, even that is a little stressful to get back into that game.
Well, I think Travis was going to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, but he actually is at a convention right now as we speak.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, there's the Lexington Comic and Toy Con back in Kentucky, which he doesn't live over there anymore. He's in Vegas now. So he's kind of going back and visiting old friends over there.
Hey, if you're gonna have to wear a mask, you may as well wear a helmet, right?
Yeah, that's one thing that they were talking about with the Anaheim one was, yeah, you can have a helmet, but as long as you have a mask underneath, it's totally okay. But I'm like,
how do they judge? Pull your mask.
Yeah,
pull your helmet up.
when you come in, you have to have your helmet off, I think, and have the mask on, and then you put your helmet on and whatever. But who's to say you're going to take down your mask
exactly
when your helmet's on? So
exactly. Well, and some of those might not fit right with a mask on. So I wonder if there needs to be a whole new market of building masks into the helmet. Just have, a nice little cloth backing on the front of the helmet, because you're breathing through the helmet anyway.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, all the people that complained about wearing masks, which, come on, people, don't be a baby. It's not that hard to wear a mask. But like, especially if you're a cosplayer, if you're into wearing helmets for cons and stuff like that, way easier to wear a face mask than to wear a bloody helmet.
Yeah. If you have to wear it both at the same time, I wonder how that would work.
Yeah, I think that could be hard, just because of sweat and stuff like that.
But yeah, just within the last week, they announced Nerd Out Con 4 for this fall. Hopefully it'll be at the Mayo Civic Center again, because last year that was really nice having it there. And then they were going to announce like the first 3 people they have as guests coming. They're going to do that soon. I'll have to check them out on Facebook and see if they've announced that yet, but that's coming up. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, up in the cities, they've got these toy and collectible shows like every month up there, and just a small deal like at a VFW or something like that. I mean, there's still a lot of vendors there, so people going for just dealer room stuff is totally good for that kind of thing. But if you're wanting to see like guests and stuff like that, that's not what they're there for.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get rolling pretty soon here, so
yep,
wind down.
I think we've pretty much covered.
We've hit a lot of it. We had so much to hit that I'm sure we missed lots of things, but good to catch up on some of those. And
we've got a lot more time put in than I thought we were going to do. So that's all right. There is going to be I don't know if I should just give it its own number or give it a part 2, but I am going to do another one with Matt here later on, just because he couldn't make the morning. So gotcha. Long day for you. Hopefully I don't like repeat stuff from this one, other than Patreon people. I am going to repeat the Patreon stuff. And as long as I'm pushing the Patreon, people go out to the Flaming Death Stockroom as well. Yeah. I'd say you could hold on to the other episode and have an episode for next month if you don't get something. Have one in the can. I thought about that too. So as long as I don't date it
Yeah,
You know?
just don't say
Don't
any
talk
day.
about stuff
We
that,
don't know what day it is right
oh,
now.
next week there's going to be a convention.
I guess, yeah, those things already happened, so too late.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah. And it's been so long that I'm forgetting how I really end these things. I guess I just say something like,
You need a tagline.
yeah. My God, I can't even remember the tag.
Keep on burning.
Gosh, we could make a new
don't
one
let the
up.
fire
That's
kill
more
you.
interesting.
Anyway,
I think it's just that's Flamecast for this month. I guess I'm Todd Blatz.
and I have been Wes Swingley.
And I know I've got something to say after that.
You make it awkward. You're making it awkward. Stop recording.
All right. I guess until next time. Until I
See
can
y'all.
remember my my line.